Hey gang, going through the Hilux, the Hiluxury today, and prepping the vehicle for emergencies. So I thought I'd take you through what I've actually done here. It's not the answer all, I guess. This is not the zombie apocalypse vehicle, but my opinion of it is that I don't think I'm going to be in a zombie apocalypse. That's a very low likelihood to actually happen. So what I do when I'm prepping my vehicle, I actually prep it for likely what's going to happen. So what's going to happen is I am going to have dogs, and I'm going to have a small child in here as well, and another passenger. So I have to think about these sorts of things. So I prep my vehicle accordingly. So first thing is, you'll see seat covers on here because, like I said, dogs like to get dirty. Also, a small child likes to vomit everywhere. Here's another thing for that. Wipes ready to roll. So quick dispense wipes. Also pretty unicorns, rainbows and butterflies. Love hearts as well. Something to distract the child, but shade cloth is the most important thing, I think. So not too much sun's coming in through this window or that back window there. Keep the sun off the little one. Now these ones here, these are often used for keeping your recovery equipment or vehicle sort of stuff like car jack and other tools and things like that in. I actually don't use them for that because, as I said, I've got a child here because the child needs a child seat. So that means that accessing these can be a bit problematic. It's not a speedy process in order to access these ones here. So I don't keep my recovery equipment in here. So what I do keep in here is things like spare clothing. Now again, thinking about likelihood, I live in Australia, so a couple of things that I'm thinking about is bushfire. I'm also thinking about summer in Australia, that I am probably wearing thongs or something similar. So I want good shoes in there, good hiking boots. These ones are leather ones, these are Merrells, that I can chuck on my feet and not have to worry about my feet. In the other compartment here, this is all spare clothing. This is all rugged clothing. These are all wool, cotton, things that are not going to burn. I've got underwear, socks, I've got a jumper, I've got a shirt, I've got a merino wool thermal and pants in there. So plenty of stuff to keep me safe. First aid kits as well. So I've got a larger car first aid kit here, and then a quick Velcroed on trauma first aid kit. Why? Because I'm military and it's obligatory that we have things like trauma shears and tourniquets everywhere that we go. But this one is more comprehensive first aid kit for all the things that can happen. Also thinking about water and sustainment for my dogs. So I've got a dog bowl here, and that's dog water in there. Water for humans is up the front, and I've got filters and food for humans up the front. So one of the threats that we obviously face here down in Australia is bushfire, so I have to think about that. And I've actually had this experience before where I've been driving around in my vehicle in thongs, board shorts. That's thongs, the footwear, not the underwear. But having to then quickly get into firefighting and having the need for some other form of clothing. So I'm not just running around barefoot or in thongs or anything like that. Obviously you need a lot of protection when you're fighting fires. So that's why I've got the clothing in here. It's something that I can kind of prepare for. It's not something that is highly likely to happen. So that's why it's tucked away under these seats rather than my recovery equipment like being able to change a tire. So recovery equipment, I have all in this canvas bag here. Inside this, first off, up in the top, I've got a vest for attracting attention so I don't get hit or anything like that, and a little light, LED light, so I can light my way if I'm doing this at night. This is a jump starter kit. I was skeptical about these, and now I kind of live and die by them. I really, really rate these. Spending a little bit of money. They're not that expensive. Like $100 will get you a decent one, and jump your car several times. You can also charge other equipment off it in an emergency. Snatch strap or tow strap, whatever you want to call it, with big D shackles on it. So that's for towing if my vehicle is incapacitated or somebody else's vehicle is incapacitated. I could tow them out of there. So as I said, I've taken from these here, I've taken stuff like the jack, and I'm just using the small jack you know, it is designed to work with the Hilux. It does actually work. It's not, I don't think it's the best jack in the world, but it does work. I also chuck in a big thick piece of wood for that. So then if I'm setting up this jack and it's muddy on the ground, then it has bigger surface area in which to actually create pressure. This is the standard tools, the little tool roll that comes with the vehicle. You know, that's all for using this jack, dropping the spare tire, which is located in under here of the vehicle, and a few other like screwdrivers and, you know, ratchets and stuff like that I've thrown in there just to be helpful. Little tire gauge as well, just a handy thing for checking tire pressure when you're out and about. In these side pockets here, I've got, this is a 650 kilo AC strap, and another one in there. So I've got two of those, a whole heap of bungee cords in there. So that's my basic recovery kit. So depending on what the, I guess the threat level is that I assess, you know, moving around, obviously I'm not going to keep a whole heap of my firefighting equipment ready to go in the vehicle in the colder months, but I might start to do that when there's a likelihood that I could be called out to a fire in the summer months or in the fire season. I'm not always going to carry fuel or anything like that on the tray, unless I'm doing an extended drive, or if I feel like I need to, or if I'm refueling those particular jerrys. But it's just not something that I'm going to keep regularly on the back of the vehicle day to day. Other things I think about, I've got, you know, emergency money squirreled away in the car, so that if something does happen, if there is an emergency and I can't use my card, then I've got cash to use. Or if there was some sort of emergency and I needed to get to a, I don't know, supermarket or something very quickly and pay for things with cash, I can do that. I do have spare water as well as filtration systems that I keep in the car. Spare food I keep in the car as well. And a spare communications in the form of a CB radio. Last thing, navigation. I keep some maps, so some hard copy maps of my local area and the areas that I usually commute to as well. So I have a good idea of that area there, of the primary routes that I obviously use, but also alternate routes as well. So yeah, that's a real basic setup for a vehicle. This is going to differ from person to person, depending on what you're doing, depending on how far you're driving, depending on what your threats are in your area, depending on what you utilize it for, whether you have children that are coming in your car, whether you're just one of those solo lone wolf preppers who doesn't need anybody in the world, whatever your particular shtick is or circumstances are, that's how you're going to prep your vehicle. But yeah, let me know what you think. Chuck it down in the comments if you think there's something that I'm missing. Obviously, I've got a whole heap of other recovery equipment that I can keep in a trunk on the back of the vehicle as well. So there's things like the ability to pump my tires up, the ability to recover other vehicles in a number of different ways, the ability to recover people in a number of different ways, a much larger med kit as well. This is just my basic sort of med stuff that I carry. But if there's anything else that you think of, please let me know. Chuck it in the comments. You know, whether that be some glaring obvious ones or some subtle things that I might have missed, let me know. And feel free to send in what you do with your cars. But definitely prepping your car. This is a platform, a survivability platform. That's the way I think about it. This extends my ability. It is a force multiplier, so it extends my ability to move around in any given space, but it also can extend my life. I can carry a lot more life-saving equipment within this beast here. So let me know what you do with your vehicle, and yeah, until next time, Semper Paratus.